So today I wanted to talk a little bit about what friendship means to me. I think there are some connections between this and kind of depression, at least probably what triggered my depression. And I wanted to do this because at one point there were some comments on my videos from people asking to be friends. Um, And so I asked them what that meant to them. And the reason I asked that, and the comments are gone now, and I don't know what that means. I'm trying not to stew about it because overthinking things is something that I could definitely talk about, that might be tied to the way I function anyway. Um, but I asked them what they meant by being friends because I don't think that term means to me what it does to other people. To kind of give you some context for this, uh, back when I finally got on Facebook, and I know that now we're to a point where all the cool kids are using something besides Facebook, but I'm an old man, so I get to use what I want to use and stay off my lawn, you kids. But when I first got on Facebook, I had a hard time friending people because I was uncomfortable using the word friend with people that I was acquainted with, and I don't dislike these people necessarily, but I didn't consider them to be friends, because that word carries a stronger significance to me than it does to a lot of people, I think. And some of this is tied to where my depression originated. Um, well, what triggered it, I guess, because I do think that there's a genetic component to mine. But anyway, so I think it was in third grade, we moved to a new town and to a new city, and there was a kid who lived close by, and we struck up a friendship. And I considered him, from what I can remember, and my memory's kind of shoddy, but from what I can remember, I considered him to be a really good friend. And then something happened. I don't remember what. I don't know where any fault lied on this. Any fault lay. Um, where the fault was on this one. But um, he stopped being my friend. And he went so far as to become my chief bully, the person who picked on me more than anybody else. He was the ringleader of the people that would seek to tear me down, um, and make my life miserable. And that continued throughout. I think, like I said, I think we were friends during the summer of third grade, and then that third grade year things got bad, and it continued for as long as I was at that school, from what I remember. Um, and since this person was someone I considered to be my friend, I think I've become very gun shy about using that term. And so when people ask to be my friends, there's not infrequently for me a follow-up, what does that mean to you? I'm very happy with having positive acquaintances with people. I'm comfortable with being friendly towards people. I have no problem with that. But the word friend is significant to me because it implies a certain amount of trust. And I'm cautious with that trust because it has been betrayed, not just by him, but by others along the way that I felt not have not maintained a trustworthy relationship with me. And so because of that, I'm very leery of using that term. I'm very cautious about who I allow within this inner circle that I consider to be my friend circle. Um, because I want to feel safe with these people, and I don't give out that trust easily. Um, and so to me, when someone asks to be my friend, it already suggests that we have a different meaning of the term, because I feel like, and I know this is a little bit problematic, but I feel like if someone wants to be my friend, they already know whether they are or not because of the intimacy that we share in our friendship. Um, so if you have to ask, and I want to be hesitant about this because I do have some people that I consider to be friends that I haven't spent much time with, and I would hesitate for them to be watching this, assuming that they would, and say, "Oh, maybe I'm not." But if I have considered you a friend in the past, it's very likely that I still do. That's not something I let go of um, very easily. Um, but it's something that I'm very cautious with, and it comes with partially because of this experience when I was younger, partially because of my depression and a certain amount of lack of self-worth. I also get very nervous um, in the company of my friends because I worry that I'm a burden to them. And this is especially true because a lot of my friends that I've engaged with over the years are very pleasant people. They're very kind. They're very patient. And so I see them interacting with people whom I find to be a little bit harder to put up with, and they're just wonderful to them. They're very, open and kind and caring and very friendly towards them. And I see that, and I wonder, are they nice to me just because they want to be nice to me, or are they nice to me because they consider me to be a friend? Are they putting up with me? Would they rather not spend time with me, but they're just too kind um, to say otherwise? And oh my gosh, I used to let that, turn me in knots. Trying to figure out, do they really like me, or are they just being nice to me? Are they putting up with me because they have to, because they're kind people? Or do they really, what was the status of our friendship? Were we really friends, or were they just nice people? Um, and for any of you who have started to worry about this, I found a fix for me. And it kind of comes back to that, using those circles, the mental, physical, emotional, those circles. I use logic. I use logic a lot to help me kind of short circuit these downward spirals that I can get into when I start thinking depressed thoughts, and I start letting it, kind of corkscrew down into this awful place. I use logic a lot to help me kind of short circuit that spiral. And so for me, what I do with these people that I like is I figure if they're choosing to spend time with me, if they seek out spending time with me, um, and they don't like me, and they say nothing about it, that's their fault. If they're choosing to spend time with me, um, then that's on them. And if they don't like spending time with me, then it's on them to address that issue. It's their problem if they don't like spending time with me and they spend time with me anyway. And so it's not my problem. And so I let the ownership of the issue lie with the person who might have an issue with this. And to be clear, I'm pretty sure that they don't. I'm pretty sure that these people who I'm thinking of as I'm talking about this actually genuinely like me. But those depressive episodes can really mess up my perception of reality like that. So I'll use that and I'll say, okay, if they don't like me and they're saying nothing to me to address that issue, then that is their problem and they need to find a way to deal with it. And so I have decided to let it go. Um, it doesn't mean the thought doesn't cross my mind, but in order to avoid that kind of spiraling into something really awful, I let it go. And I say, you know what? If they don't like me and they're saying nothing about it, that's their problem. So I really wanted to try to understand where these commenters were coming from, what they were seeking in asking me to be friends. If there was some sort of reciprocal, I like their videos, they like my videos, that's something I could have considered. If they're seeking a deep, meaningful connection, I don't know how to develop that in YouTube comments. There were a lot of factors, and I was trying to understand what they mean, because to me, the term friend is not something I use lightly. Um, it's something that means something to me, and it's something that causes me a lot of grief, and trying to understand, well, maybe not a lot of grief. It causes me some grief in trying to understand where I feel I fit with certain people. Again, there are not a lot of people in the world that I don't like. There are some people who I think are fine, wonderful people who I just don't want to spend time with, but I don't dislike them. There are some people that I would rather not spend time with because they're just unpleasant for me or unhealthy for me. Um, but in all these people, all these people that I friended on Facebook, my colleagues, people from church, people in my neighborhood. There aren't a lot that I would consider to be friends. And that's just because that word um, implies a certain amount of trust that doesn't come easy to me. And I really do believe that a lot of that comes back to that really hard experience I had where someone who I trusted, who I thought was my friend, kind of turned on me. But I think built into that is something that many of us who suffer from depression can relate to. And that is that depression can come with, and maybe I'll talk about this more in the future too, can come with a real sense of, a real negative sense of self. We don't value ourselves very much. We see ourselves as less valuable. And if we see ourselves as less valuable, then why should we connect with other people? Because if we're not valuable, all the time that they spend with us is a waste of time. And that's the feeling that we get sometimes. And this could be why, for those of you who don't deal with depression, this could be why your depressed friends are less likely to seek you out, because they feel like they're just not worth your time when they're in a depressed episode. And so that's a time, and this is something that again, I do want to address this in the future. It's something that I've learned that reaching out in the right way can be huge in helping people. But that's something that's going to take more time than I have left on this one. So this was it. I really wanted to address those comments, and they're gone now. So you can say, well, yeah, you're making this stuff up. Do what you want with it. But I didn't want to leave those unaddressed, and I tried to address them in the best way I could. And I don't know how many people share my issues with using the word friend with that concept, but it's something that is tied to my past in a way that does impact my relationship with my depression. So if you feel the same way, now you know you're not alone. And if you don't feel the same way, that's okay, because I think everybody's flavor of depression is a little bit different. I think in some ways it's kind of like grief, where, we all deal with grief in our own ways. And I think that's not an inappropriate metaphor when it comes to depression. So anyway, I wanted to talk about that. I'm sad that those comments are gone because I don't know what that means. And for my mental health, I'm going to kind of let those go. If the people come back and we want to engage in a more fruitful conversation about this, that's great. This video is kind of this particular one is kind of designed in reaching out for a greater understanding, but failing that, I hope it helped someone somewhere, because that's why I'm doing this. All right. Well, take care of yourselves, and you'll probably see me again.